What's happening? Wisdom Warriors back at it for another video. How's everybody doing? Happy Monday. As I said on the short today, how did everybody? I hope everybody enjoyed the sermon for the Sunday sermon. We're definitely going to go and deep dive into the inner child today, and still cover a little bit on the overdoing and balance aspects, and whatever else comes up. How about that? And there's also something I want to talk about, which kind of ties into overdoing and balance, which I've actually realized after watching a video I caught a little bit of. And it really resonated with me and women. And maybe we'll start off with that. Again, this might get a little bit graphic, but not really. But, I'll try to keep it as clean as possible. What I realized, which is very interesting now, mind you, we all have this. But if you're a man or a male, men or males don't have to worry about it as much, or we really don't even pay attention to it, but you can, because they essentially have, and if you're not familiar with this, there's a thing called pH balance, and women definitely need to pay close attention to that, more so than men. But I still believe that men do too, and we don't, and there's not enough information out there to where we pay attention to it. And what that essentially is, it's the pH balance, which is whether your body is in balance or not, whether you're more on the alkaline side or the acidic side. Typically, if you're on the acidic side or more on that side of the pH balance, that's where you can experience more dis-ease in the body or illness of different kinds. When you're more in balance with the pH levels, your body is essentially in balance. And I feel like this kind of goes along with spirituality too, because that's where I'm kind of taking this with. I'm taking this to a place of, you know, spiritual side, as well as the physical side. Because I think that if you are somebody that overdoes a lot of things in your life, there's a very big chance, huge chance that your pH balance is off. Because I do believe that, obviously where our bodies are is where our external is going to be in all areas of our life. And, I'm sure you've seen when you shop in the grocery stores, and you go into the water aisle, they have alkaline, alkaline water. And a lot of them say the pH balance. Some you can get where they have a 9.5, or I've seen even, I think that's about probably the highest I've seen. And it kind of goes along with, it kind of goes along with the chakras too, which I've spoke about on, previous videos, where your body knows essentially when there's a certain chakra out of balance too. Because we tend to, I don't know if you have paid attention to this or not in your own life, but I know for mine, when a certain chakra was off, I would tend to start eating certain vegetables or certain items that were colors of the chakras. Like at one point, because I eat purple cabbage in my salad too, and I noticed myself like gravitating towards more purple cabbage, where I would actually buy the actual purple cabbage and chop it up and put a bunch of it in my salad. And now I'm noticing I buy like this slaw, which has green cabbage, purple cabbage. I think it's got some carrots in it, some other stuff. And it has less purple cabbage than I would have in the previous. So it's like, it's almost like we know subconsciously, if you're not conscious of it, subconsciously you're grabbing for those different items that need to be brought more into balance. And a really good example is I notice myself wearing a lot of gray, which gray is represents balance. And I'm wearing like red now and green, which is different levels of the chakras. And I have gray pants on and I have blue. So, you know, it's not, it's, if you're not aware, it can be laughable and you could think it's funny, but in actuality, it's not because we grab for things that we need in balance. And it's even like I said, if you are more acidic and you're eating more acidic foods, your pH level is going to be off. And I stumbled upon this video today, which kind of sparked this conversation because it had to do with women and their pH balance and their period every month and all that kind of thing. Where they need to make sure that their pH balance is in balance, or you can have all kinds of things like a UI. I think that's how you pronounce it. Or urinary UTI, or different things like odors or different things like that can occur if your pH level is not in balance. Men don't really deal with that part of it, but we all have to deal with it, but we're not taught. And if you go to like the pharmacist or like a pharmacy, like where where you can pick up different things like aspirins and things like that, or whatever, they have small gifts and candy and whatever junk. Well, in those stores, or you can get them online, they have pH strips. And you can essentially test your pH balance and see where you're at. If your body's more alkaline or more acidic. And if it's more acidic, you're going to have a harder time with a lot of things. Like I said, you're going to get more illnesses, more sickness. You're going to have a harder time fighting off things. It's essentially goes along with the balances in your life, right? So it's not only the pH balance in your body, but it also connects to, are you overdoing your financial part of your life or your romantic part of your life? Or are you undergiving in those areas? Or are you undergiving in your health? Or are you overgiving? So it's like, not only does the body need to be in balance, but these areas in our life need to be in balance. Because if they're not, and they're too far over to the right or too far over to the left, there's going to be chaos in those areas because it's unbalanced. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, because as an additive to what I've been talking about previous videos, but we're still going to continue with this topic because it's a very, very important topic for all of us. But I thought that was so unique and interesting. And if you are a woman watching this channel, drop in the comments if I'm, speaking the truth, or if what I'm saying holds true to you, because that part of it for women, obviously I'm not a woman. I can't attest to that, and I don't have experience in that. But from what I've learned, I mean, we all, like I said, have pH balance, but for a woman, she has to be much more like cognizant of that, much more conscious of that. Otherwise, she's going to have things that show up that will be noticeable in a relationship, versus a man those things wouldn't be noticeable because we don't have that part. We don't have a lady part, obviously, that is noticeable by a man in a relationship. And so, but it will be noticeable in within us in other ways. And I feel like not right away. I feel like that can show up later on in a pretty not so great way with health issues. I feel like for a woman, it's more noticeable because, well, I mean, she can just notice it herself on the external, on the outer part of herself. With us, it's more internal. So it's harder to stay in balance with that versus a woman kind of would notice it immediately each month and then can correct it. I mean, go to somebody or take the necessary actions to do so. But for us, it's more internal, and it's not always something that would give us a sign that we can then address it right away. Versus with a woman, yes, she can. And I feel like that's really interesting because I feel like for women, they at least a large majority of the women population, at least that I've come across and seen, they're very grounded and in tune with themselves and in tune with their emotions versus men are not so much. And I feel like because they're addressing it every month with cleansing their body out with their once a month thing, and they have to be in balance in the body because otherwise it's noticeable outside the body. And like I said, I think that right away when you notice that, you're going to be on top of it and you're going to address it. Versus for a man, not so much. We don't really know unless we go to a store and we grab the pH strips and we do it and we test ourselves. And you could do things like alkaline water and stuff like that, but I feel like until you start balancing the different areas in your life and questioning yourself, like, how can I bring this area in my life more into balance? When you start to do that internally, your external shows imbalance. And so, yeah, I don't want to go too much into it in this video because I wanted to dive more into the inner child. But we're going to cover much more on overdoing and balance because it is extremely important for all of us. And as we move forward in 2023, we need to pay more close attention to the areas that we are lacking that aren't in balance and are out of alignment, and then address the internal first and foremost because you can address it in the external, but until you address it internally, it's going to keep getting out of balance in the external. So, I mean, nothing you do in the external is going to be in balance unless you handle it within and internally. And so same with a woman and dealing with her situation monthly. If it's not addressed internally, it's going to keep coming back or showing up over and over again, just like everything else, just like that relationship that you thought that you already went through and learned from. If you didn't and it keeps showing up in different bodies, then you really haven't learned. And that's okay, we're all on our own journeys, and in due time, you'll get there and you will understand it and you will realize, okay, well, this needs to be better in balance, I feel. How can I do that? In what way can I do that? And again, meditation, yoga, breath work, those are ways you can do that. Nature, those are all ways you can bring yourself into balance because as you're balancing the internal, which At the same time, mind you, have to be patient because it takes time. Everything does. And so the more and more you balance the inside, the more and more the outside will just reflect the inside. It's just a mirror showing you, so you know, getting into more of the inner child, uh, you know, we have been this has been going on for centuries, mind you, centuries upon centuries. We've been neglecting the inner child. We will treat this individual better than we treat our own child within. We'll treat the coworker or the boss or the relative or the friend or the property or the material items better than we treat our own child within. And now more than ever, because this goes back lineages and generationally and ancestral of neglect and pushing away and ignoring and not wanting to listen or hear the inner child, but yet we want to be heard and be listened to and be acknowledged, and yet we're not doing that with our own child within. So how do you expect that somebody is going to want to hear you or listen to you or understand you if you don't even understand your own child within or yourself? And that right there, my friends, is self-love. When you take the time out to listen to her or him, and what he or she wants and needs, and maybe at that moment, your inner child's not feeling worthy or not feeling loved or feeling needy, and you then love it and hold empathy and compassion for it. And maybe even visualize you giving your inner child a hug, you meeting at a park, visualize, maybe your 5 or 7 year old self walking to a park and you walking up to him or her and holding his or her hand and hugging her tight, you know? And in those moments when you do that, you're showing your inner child love and your self love. And that's where I go with, do you know what the inner child is? Do you know that it's there within you and it needs love and to be seen and to be heard? And, and why you're getting these the tightness in your chest, or it's your inner child like screaming out like, yo, where are you at, man? Why do you keep ignoring me? Why do you keep pushing me away? Why do you keep, like not wanting to pay attention to me? And you'll pick your phone up and you'll scroll all day, but you won't pay attention to me. You won't even give me 5 minutes of your time because you're too busy on social media, or you're too busy tending to the addictions or the vices or your external relationships. And all that inner child wants, man, is love and to be held and to be loved um, and hugged on, and maybe to have its hand held, and maybe it wants you to like dance around and laugh and joke, maybe it wants you to bring that part of it out, and so these are all ways we can love that child within even more and ourselves. And that is self-love. That is the way you hold compassion and love for yourself. And you will find that the more you can do that, and the more you take out the time to listen, like sit in stillness, like in silence and just listen. I would venture to say probably the last 7 years, at least 5 to 7 years. I mean, even before that, uh, I mean, for years and years and years, I would just like literally, I really enjoyed like just driving in the car and not having anything on. And so I kind of got very used to listening and being in silence. I didn't know what I was really listening to back then. But I took the time out to listen because, I mean, hell, quite frankly, I had nobody else to talk to. So, even sitting and waiting when I was in high school or middle school, waiting for my parents to pick me up from school, and I'd be sitting there all alone, or, eating my lunch alone. I'd be just doodling on a pad, and not really realizing what I was listening to. And one of the biggest things that I do a lot is talk to myself out loud, no matter where. If I'm in the car, if I'm at the park, if I'm walking in nature, I speak to myself. It 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 really does help you to um, it helps you to process things too. You know, and I feel like it helps you to really process and to you know to have a better understanding of yourself. And I think I believe also that's a form of love, love for yourself. But these little things you can do, just taking like 5 minutes or 10 minutes out and just listening in silence to yourself and not picking up your phone and not scrolling on social media endlessly. That's all ways of you pushing your inner child away. And the inner child is what is inside you, that child that maybe didn't get the love or acceptance when it was little. And we have it internally inside of us. And if you've heard people speak on that and you don't understand really what it is, well, I'm explaining to you right now. And it's it's probably that it's that 5 year old child that you were maybe not accepted and not loved by your family or by your friends or by um, co-workers or whatever, or siblings, whatever the case may be. You didn't get that acceptance and love, or you experienced bullying, or um, you know who knows what, abuse, emotionally, physically, whatever the case may be. That inner child is crying out, is screaming out for your attention now, because it hasn't been getting it. So you're getting anxiety, you're getting um, maybe tightness in your chest, maybe heaviness in the chest, maybe things are just becoming louder and louder, like your emotional stuff is becoming louder and louder, because the inner child wants to be heard and seen, and it never was. And now it's coming to fruition now as we move forward in this evolution, in this great awakening of humanity. We're starting to realize and wake up and realize that, man, I didn't tend to my inner child like I should have. I didn't love my inner child like it needed. And now it's requiring more of our attention, because we've been giving our attention to TV, to food addictions, to sex addictions, to phone addictions, to gaming addictions, to you name it, overdoing work, working 80 hours a week, 5 jobs. All these different things were ways that we created to avoid the inner child, to avoid giving ourselves love. We created all these different situations, like needing to have 5 jobs to pay all these things that we um, accumulated, because we've been avoiding essentially the inner child. So we, like I said, have created so many different things in our external to keep us distracted away from the internal inner child. And, it's interesting because, like they always say, it's all happening for us and by us. So you created these situations and maybe your life is full of drama, and you constantly say all the time, like, man, It just never ends. I'm constantly, there's one thing after another I have to do. We have created that to then avoid going in and tending to ourself, tending to our inner child, you know, because everything happens for us and by us. So we created all these situations and outcomes and things that are going on to keep us so busy to avoid it. Then there's then there's others like me who have been more and more healing within, which then is making my external more peaceful. Because all that I ever asked for, majority of my life, I prayed for this my entire life. Well, to find my soulmate or partner that I can grow and evolve together with, and we can bring out the best of each other, you know, the parts that we need help bringing out. Also to challenge us and to challenge them, and also to just grow and evolve together and apart from a loving place, not an attachment style based place of a relationship. And then the other thing that I asked for over and over and over and over again, because I never had that, was peace. And more I'm finding that peace. And that is what I've truly been asking for, you know, especially the last 10 years. And the more and more I talk about it on here, the more and more I explain it, the more and more I deep dive into these topics, the more and more I even understand more and more that it's interesting because, you know, one would say, well, this was an accident. I didn't mean to have these kids, or they weren't meant to be. It was an accident. And then one might say that everything is happening for us and by us. And is that situation or those situations or that job that you have to take on for 80 hours a week, or all those things, if you really think about it, ways that you've created to avoid your inner child and avoid giving your inner child love because you wanted a busy life to avoid the emotions and avoid feeling. And again, I love to hear your take on it. I love to hear your comments. Again, please don't take offense to anything I say. You're welcome to your opinion, and you're welcome to feel how you feel and the way you feel. And, it's all good, man. We're just here sharing our wisdom, because we all have our own experiences and our own situations that we've gone through. And, again, in the beginning of the video, I don't claim to be a doctor. I just speak from experience. I don't have experience as a woman on that side of the fence, but this is just what I've learned from knowledge I've gained on that side of the things. If I'm wrong, you let me know in the comments. I would love to hear your side of things. I would love to hear your perspective. Share. We all get something out of it. We all can grow from each other. And from my heart to yours, I love you all so much. I'm so grateful for this channel. I'm so grateful for the comments we keep receiving. It's beautiful, man. When I wake up and see that there's a bunch of comments that I can respond to and read and gain perspective on the audience that we're building together and this community we're building together. To hear your stories and your perspectives is beyond the moon. I love it. It gives me chills just saying it because I love hearing it. I love responding. I love the community. I love all of you. And I'm truly blessed and grateful to have this wonderful community. In the last week, we've gained even more subscribers, and I'm truly grateful for that. And we just are continuing to grow each and every day, man. And this community is growing, and it's a safe place for all of us to express how we feel, and share our journey, our experiences, and just gain insight through your experiences, through my experiences, and us all coming together as one, and sharing. So keep the comments coming. Please like, please subscribe, please comment, please share to somebody that may need this video, may have needed to hear this about the inner child, or the balance, and overdoing, and we do have choice, and we have free will, and we have the ability to co-create with the universe, and that's exactly what we're doing. So we're helping to shift and change this planet. That's why we all came here, or this earth. We're here to shift and change and evolve as one on this earth with all of us together. I love you all so much. Take care, from my heart to yours. Let's go, Wisdom Warriors. We got this.